Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. The hoops single mothers have to jump through to make a living, care for children, and advance a career are mind-boggling. My guest has a remarkable story of juggling all that on her way to a seat on the Vermont Supreme Court. She couldn't afford law school as a single mom, so she worked as a law clerk and then passed the bar exam on her first try. Now, recently retired after 22 years on the bench, Vermont Supreme Court Justice Marilyn Skoglund has a reputation as an ardently thorough and fair judge, and a fun and feisty woman. We are so pleased to have Justice Skoglund with us today. Yeah, well, to talk about her remarkable career. So, Judge Skoglund, law was not what you studied in college. How did you find your passion for the law?
I fell into it by accident, and it was a wonderful thing that happened to me. I have a BA in sculpture. I have no idea what I thought I was going to do with that besides get married and have children. I don't even have
Which you also did.
I did. You don't need a degree to do that. So, but then you can't make a living as an artist unless you're good, and I was nothing but mediocre. So I figured out what do I want to do, and I love to write. I love words. I like to argue. So I said, I'll go be a paralegal to learn about the law. Well, I went to Woodbury College for a 6-month term to learn how to use the law library and research and become familiar with court documents. And then I fell in love with the law. It is so logical. It is so commonsensical. And I just was mesmerized by following the trail of how the laws came into being, what they're designed to do. They're designed to allow us to live together in a civilized society. And I fell in love. I fell in love.
A perfect fit.
It was.
Now, and you were also, all during this time, you were a single mom while you were going to school, and then you became a paralegal for the Attorney General's office.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that time when you're a single mom and an angel, Walter Smith.
Oh, Walter. At the time I went to Woodbury and started my work at the Attorney General's office, being hired as a law clerk, I had one daughter, and she was 7. And we rented a shepherd's cottage that was uninsulated on Walter Smith's farm in Plainfield. Only wood heat, okay? Uninsulated, only wood heat. Walter would, and I had no money. I had no money because I had no money. He would give me fresh eggs. I would go over to the milking parlor and dip raw milk out of the bulk tank. He would give me meat when he killed one of his pigs or chickens or ducks or whatever. I remember, here's a true story. After I started at the Attorney General's office, and by the time I passed the bar, my first argument in front of the Vermont Supreme Court, and my daughter, I'm holding her head over the porcelain bus. She's driving it all night, vomiting.
Oh dear.
She's got the flu.
She's got the flu.
She's got the flu. We called it driving the porcelain bus. So I have to take my poor child over to Walter's, he lived across the street in the big farmhouse. And I said, Walter, just take care of her for 3 hours. I'll be right back.
For your first argument in front of the Supreme Court.
So I drove into town, did my first argument, and it was really kind of a good situation because I just had to get the work done, get that argument done, and go back and take care of my daughter. So it relieved a lot of the pressure. There were more important things in life than whether I was articulate in front of the Supreme Court. Right. So Walter helped me through everything.
Wow, that's fabulous. Now, getting back to how does someone actually take the bar without going to law school? And this is a state that some people can do that.
Yes, Vermont is brilliant. This is brilliant. You apprentice yourself for 4 years. It's truly an old-fashioned apprenticeship. You get an attorney that will sponsor you and help guide you through and theoretically work on what you're going to study. But I had the benefit of working at the Attorney General's office, and they were so supportive. They loaned me out to all the different divisions. So I got civil law, I got criminal law, I got constitutional law. I got everything except domestic relations, which was fine with me, and wills and probate. So I got a job there as a paralegal, and I studied for 4 years on my own. And then after 4 years, you can take the bar. So how I did, nowadays, it's quite structured. You have to have lesson plans every year and reports from your sponsoring attorney. Back in the day when I did it, I gave them $25, signed up, and they never heard from me again until I applied to take the bar.
Wow.
So I took a bar review course after 3 years to see what I didn't know.
Right. Okay.
And then I focused on things like that as I continued to work 40 hours a week at the Attorney General's office.
And you passed on the first try, which is also very unusual.
Did. Well,
and then you moved up the ranks as soon as you became a lawyer. It's Assistant Attorney General. You were chief of 2 divisions, the Civil Law Division, and then the chief of Public Protection. I think they're called something different now, but
right.
And then you were appointed to Vermont District Court. 3 years later, you're on the Supreme Court.
I know. Go figure.
And both of your daughters, you had 2, are doing very well.
They're both doctors.
Just say, yeah.
I have 2 doctor daughters. They're happily married. They're good. They're happy, wonderful, strong women.
Yeah,
you know?
I bet.
And I couldn't have done any of this without them tolerating my work schedule.
Sure.
So,
well, what a model you are. So your story is an inspiration to anyone who feels that either poverty or motherhood is going to hold them back in any way. So how do you encourage people to follow their passion like you did? Or do you?
I'm at a loss for words here. I followed my passion, but it was everything I had to do. It's like, how did you do it? How did you get the kids to, dentist in the middle of all this? You just did it because you had to do it. There weren't any options. And I put my kids through terrible things. Once my youngest daughter had an ear infection. No, not an ear infection. She had a cold. And I had a hearing to do in front of the Medical Practice Board. So I doused Kate with Tylenol for children, put her on a couch outside the hearing room because I knew in the hearing room were doctors from the Medical Practice Board, and one was a pediatrician. So
things really got bad.
During a break, I said, doctor, would you just look at Kate? She's right up there. I mean, she was fine. She had her little blanket on, and she had her stuffed thing, and she had Tylenol, but it's rough. But you do what you have to do. I was doing it because I loved the law, but also I needed a salary. I needed income. The children need food.
Indeed. and you provide it.
Yes.
So how have your life experiences, both positive and challenging, affected how you work on the bench?
I understand. I was very poor for a short period of time. I never expected to be poor forever because I was raised in a middle-class home, and this was something new and totally freakish and scary for me. But when I see people come into court that have been raised in poverty, that know nothing else but poverty, I understand their hopelessness and their frustrations. And it's the little things like this. If I'm in criminal court as a district court judge and someone doesn't show up for their status conference or their whatever, and you issue a bench warrant because they've offended the court, and they come in the next day, and I say, why weren't you here? This is important. Well, his brother's car broke down, and he had to help him get to work or something, because that's the same brother that's going to help him when he needs some help. Right. So, you do what you have to do. He had to go help his brother get his car fixed. I understand that.
So
I get it, but there's this balance.
It's strict, and you really should be here.
Yes, but I mean, I've been poor.
Indeed. What kinds of cases have you absolutely loved, and what are the most challenging?
Oddly enough, I like the insurance cases where, is this act covered, or is it an act of God, or did it really fit within the contract parameters? I love those. I loathe the termination of parental rights cases. I loathe it because mostly those parents haven't had good role models to be parents, or struggling with an abuse, addiction, opioid addiction, or were abused as children, and they think a little bit of family violence is the way kids are raised. That's
heart-wrenching.
Horribly difficult cases. Yeah.
Just a very interesting thing about you. You started an art gallery at the courthouse. So you brought art in on Untypical Move. How has that worked out?
Oh my good, that is so great. Well, first of all, I'm very selfish. I get to come to work every day and see art on the walls, as opposed to what I used to call the gallery of dead justices. I moved them to different places. But I came into the Supreme Court and I saw all these beautiful white walls, and I said, this is a gallery. This should be showing, because remember, my BA's in sculpture, so
there you went.
So I started that, and I think it's been going for 20 years.
Wow.
We're going to have a celebration at the end of this year, or maybe at the beginning of next year, because it's been going for 20 years. We put the artists up for 3 months. They're all of them, 99.9% are Vermont artists. I did a sister-brother show where the sister is a Vermonter with the brothers from Alaska. I figured that was okay.
Well, and quickly, you're retired now. Art, traveling, mentoring, writing. Quickly, what is your plan? Or
all my plans have fallen apart, Fran. I gave the governor 4 months' notice, and then I signed up at UVM to take beginning Spanish, because over 65 you can take a course for free. So I wanted to learn Spanish. Well, I couldn't do it because I was still working.
You're still working. So we hope you find some downtime very soon.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, we've got to go.
Oh, okay.
Judge Marilyn Skoglund, thank you so much for joining us,
Fran,
today.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Yes. And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.